Once again decided by 2 falls, 2 submissions for the 1 knockout to decide the winner. Presenting and introducing, coming from red corner, Mr. Self Esteem, it is Terry Isit.
I can't hear you! I think you are, you right there, I'm not stupid.
Ladies and gentlemen, he says he can't hear you. Let's make sure he can hear you as we introduce to you, coming from the blue corner, the Emo Kid, Ted Sabin!
How you guys doing? You guys good, yeah? You guys good?
Commence wrestling.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Aaron Nix. Welcome back to Ashford. Welcome back to the Rumble Wrestling Promotions YouTube channel. It's Rumble Wrestling TV time. And it's time for one-on-one action. Referee Dave Macro in charge of Mr. Self Esteem himself, Danny Isit. Far be it from me to correct Stephen Barker, our magnificent compare, but it is, of course, now Danny Isit. He was formerly known as Terry Isit, which is probably why the faux pas was affected. But
No trouble.
he's facing the Emo Kid, Ted Sabin, who has not been seen in a Rumble wrestling ring for a very, very long time. To be fair, both of these men have been well-travelled and have found their way back to Rumble finally after quite a long hiatus between the two of them combined. And what an interesting matchup here, and a first-time matchup as well here at Rumble Wrestling between Danny Isit and Ted Sabin. Obviously, Danny Isit with the power and size advantage, but Ted Sabin is every bit the magnificent athlete. I liken him very much to a hybrid pit bull. There's something very rabid, something very unhinged about Ted Sabin's style, but truly in the condition of his life, and despite his diminutive size, has really carved out a stunning career for himself. And the Emo Kid is looking to apply himself here against a ferocious Danny Isit. Danny Isit has returned to Rumble with one thing in mind, that is to cause as much carnage as possible and let everybody know he's the big spender when it comes to professional wrestling. But Ted Sabin is clearly the fan favourite here, and understandably so. One of the most likeable men in our sport, and Danny Isit, reprehensible to say the very least, luring Ted Sabin in with the offer of a handshake. And this is what Ted Sabin brings to the party. Lovely standing one-legged drop kick there. Beautiful athleticism, almost laying straight back on his feet, and now applying some serious pep in that step with those left and right hands. And now the Irish whip out the corner, reversed by Danny Isit. Danny Isit gets caught flush, coming in with that boot from Ted Sabin. Quicker than the proverbial hiccup, he goes up and over. Beautiful, lovely variation into that modified, almost the reverse of the drop toe hold onto his back, and now a stiff roundhouse kick applied. Ted Sabin looking for that knockout blow there, but Danny is able to counter, and oh wow, vicious drop kick, low center of gravity, drives both of his legs and feet into the chest of Danny Isit, who looks to retreat and regain some sense of clarity here in this one-on-one contest. And look how Ted Sabin was, I think he might have been gearing up for a suicide dive, but Danny Isit caught him coming in. And speaking of getting caught coming in, beautiful enziguri roundhouse, and oh my god, vicious snap mentality. Look out, and an assisted pile driver off the ropes. A vicious,
Show me some respect!
vicious buster from Isit as he drops Ted Sabin right in his head. And I think the fun and games are over for Danny Isit, who's finally going to take this match very seriously in a vicious strike. And don't be fooled by Danny Isit. He might look beautiful, he might act all kind and innocent as he sends Ted Sabin viciously into the corner again. And like I said, Danny Isit has a mean streak a mile long to go with that extraordinarily massive ego of his. And don't get called Mr. Self-Esteem for no reason. And ultimately, it's good to have self-esteem, but at the expense of the rules and the respect of his opponents, Danny Isit not exactly a favourite here at Rumble Wrestling with our audience. Vicious clothesline knocks down Ted Sabin, and now we're starting to see that size and power advantage really come into play here. Danny Isit, by the way, is an extremely impressive athlete in his own right. The fact that he's in a match where he actually has the size and power advantage, which is not necessarily something he would expect to have quite often in wrestling, is probably an added bonus. Ted Sabin didn't get this far by being no slouch. Vicious roundhouse kick right to the throat, and now just sitting in on that pin, deep pin, and Ted Sabin showing his incredible will to survive, that fight or flight instinct of the Emo Kid as he's able to power out. Dave Macro checking on Ted Sabin. 2 out of 3 falls here in this traditional one-on-one singles matchup, and Sabin looking to try and fight out a little bit, throwing some hands, still got a lot of gusto, a lot of pep in his step. He has a lot of salt and pepper on the shakers of Ted Sabin, and a jawbreaker for Danny Isit cuts off that momentum. Now a chin lock applied, variation of a sleeper hold by Danny Isit. Referee Dave Macro, no fear, getting right in there to hear the call, checking to see if Ted Sabin will say yes or no. 5 minutes gone in this matchup. Danny Isit is barking at Ted Sabin and this audience here. Mr. Self Esteem comes back in a rumble with a real point to prove, and man, I don't think I've seen him well, frankly, in a worse mood than he is today. Danny Isit knows something. Oh my God, I think Ted Sabin was looking to use the ropes for his leverage, and Danny Isit caught him coming in, knocked him off the ropes, caught him flush with that enziguri, and now sends himself up to the second rope. Oh my God, a vicious snap mic check right off the second rope, and Ted Sabin's face just bounced off the canvas. Danny Isit knows exactly what. I'm surprised Danny Isit didn't go for a cover, frankly, because that was one devastating maneuver, and now Ted Sabin with the wherewithal to roll out to potentially regain some kind of clarity in the mind, but that move did some serious damage, and now Danny Isit looks to trail him to the outside, measuring him for a kick, but Ted Sabin able to put the brakes on. And now it's Danny Isit's turn to get driven into the canvas, and the hardest part of the ring, no less. The worst place you could possibly land in a wrestling ring. Not that any place is good to land in a wrestling ring, because that thing hurts like hell. Flying crossbody. Oh, look out. And Danny Isit rolls right through a couple. Danny Isit's got his feet on the ropes. Dave Macro's none the wiser. And Danny Isit goes 1 fall up in this 2 out of 3 fall singles match, courtesy of an assist using the ropes.
Now, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, the audience in Ashford are very aware of what just happened here, and they're making it very clear that Danny Isit, in their eyes, is a cheater. I'm certainly not talking about the speediest land mammal of them all, although he might be the craftiest.
Did you, before I announce the referee's decision, did you or did you not have your feet on the ropes?
Well, that's a pretty cut and dry answer if you're watching at home.
I did not have my feet on those ropes.
Danny Isit, a master of lying, apparently, as well.
There's no way against yours. That was a clean 1, 2, 3. Am I right? I said, am I right?
Ladies and gentlemen, the referee gives the first fall to the red corner, and Danny Isit.
Well, you can't call what you can't see, unfortunately. Dave Macro, obviously.
Second session, commence wrestling.
Dave Macro obviously counted the pinfall. Now here goes the second session with Ted Sabin, unfortunately 1-0 down, courtesy of a rather snide use of the ropes from Danny Isit. Now Ted Sabin recognises that he's going to have to really go some here to get one over on Danny Isit. 1 fall down in this 2 out of 3 falls matchup. Beautiful standing moonsault. Wow, Ted Sabin with all the athleticism and a boot and a 2 count only. We spoke about the fight or flight mentality of Ted Sabin, that pitbull-like attitude, relentless in his need to be the best in professional wrestling is the Emo Kid, and now looking to ascend to the top rope right in front of our magnificent corner cam, and Ted Sabin up to the top rope, measuring Danny Isit potentially, goes for I think he might be looking for a flying crossbody. Lands on his feet, rolls through. Danny Isit puts no brakes. Oh, look how Isit looking for that $1 million clutch submission of sorts. And now a counter. Ted Sabin with a roll through. Ted Sabin's got his body weight on Danny Isit and it's just leveled things up just like that. Like a lightning bolt strike. Ted Sabin makes it 1 apiece in this 2 out of 3 full singles match. And now it's Danny Isit's turn to remonstrate because he believes his shoulder's up. He's absolutely adamant it was 2, but it wasn't, it was 3. And Danny Isit is red hot at ringside.
What do you mean the referee can't hear? It was 2. He counted 1, 2, 3. And as somebody pointed out, when he got the equalising fall, his feet weren't on the ropes either. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the second fall. An equaliser to Ted Sabin.
Well, yes, indeed. Stephen Barker making it very clear. The referees. Third and final session, the referee's choice does stand. Oh my God. And Danny Isit with a Pearl Harbor assault just blasts Ted Sabin right in the face with that vicious kick. Great leg extension to be fair. And now just driving that forearm into the face of Ted Sabin in the corner. Another jawbreaker, and I think Danny Isit needs to pay more attention to what's going on in the ring. He seems to be extremely perplexed by the abuse he's getting at ringside, and ultimately some people might argue he deserves that. Now, look at that, using the ropes, and well, Dave Macro is barking at Danny Isit, saying, do that again, I'll give you a public warning. Don't forget, we have a 3 strikes policy here when it comes to public warnings. If you bend the rules enough, the referee at his discretion can give up to 3 public warnings. If he gives a 3rd, then you are disqualified. And now a lovely swinging net breaker assault, a flying net breaker really for Danny Isit, in a 2 count only. Ted Sabin finds himself once again in serious trouble at the hands of Danny Isit, and just a vicious stamp right across the face, using both of those feet and just driving all of his body weight across the cheeks and the face of Ted Sabin. Oh man, Danny Isit, I mean, he is, talk about it, in a bad mood, and now just driving himself into the back. And now a variation of the camel clutch with a chin lock applied and sitting quite deep as well. You'll notice the right knee of Danny Isit on the floor to create more torque, more tension on the lower back of Ted Sabin. Ted Sabin with a low center of gravity, able to escape much easier than maybe a taller wrestler might be able to in said position. And now putting the brakes on and just delivering a flurry of strikes, catches that boot flush, and now looking to isolate the right leg of Danny Isit. Lovely dragon screw whip from Ted Sabin, and a standing coup de grace as he double stomps Danny Isit right in the chest. Pinfall! Ted Sabin very close there to picking up the win. Essentially sudden death rules, ladies and gentlemen. 2 out of 3 falls, 1 fall apiece, which means the next pinfall submission or maybe even a knockout will determine the winner of this matchup, as Ted Sabin now looks to head to the outside. I think Ted Sabin was thinking about going up, but Danny Isit was back on his feet, and now a rake of the eyes and a vicious strike to the back, and referee Dave Macro has got to get some level of control here. But Danny Isit, I don't think he's waiting for Ted Sabin to recover. I think it's more a case of taking the opportunity to bask in his own glory, and he's going to pay for that as Ted Sabin uses that momentary lack of ability to get out of dodge. And now, oh man, speaking of get out of dodge, look how, looking potentially for a handstand, just absolutely comes flying out of the blocks with that vicious lariat made famous by Nigel McGuinness. And man, Ted Sabin so close once again to picking up a win here. Danny Isit getting rock and rolled all over the Rumble Wrestling ring. And now Ted Sabin looking to ascend to the top once again. Danny Isit, absolutely no clue where he is, much less where Ted Sabin is. And now I think he's only just becoming aware of airborne Sabin. Oh my God, wow, just flying right through. Oh, come on, what the hell? Danny Isit out of nowhere was able to retrieve his jacket, and now with the $1 million submission, as oh look how Ted Sabin is able to counter into a pinfall attack. Oh no, right back into the center of the ring, and Ted Sabin in serious trouble. Nowhere to go. He's forced to tap. He submits, and Danny Isit wins this matchup over a game Ted Sabin. A stunning singles win for Danny Isit, who makes it a successful return of Rumble Wrestling by knocking off Ted Sabin 2-1 with a submission finish.
I didn't treat you allowed, it was in my way.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the winner by a submission at the fall.
It's Danny Isit who picks up the win. Courtesy of an assist of all things from his ring jacket, ladies and gentlemen.
When you are in the joint.